Thank you for being here so numerous right after lunch. I'm going to tell you a story to help you digest that lunch, a light-hearted story about a recently acquired solution by SAP. We're going to talk about Calidus Cloud. It's not in the title, but that's what it's about. And yeah, we enriched the experience with some VR, just to tease you a little bit. Because this doesn't seem to work. Now it does. Because what if you could increase your revenue by 5%? If you could increase the quota achievement of your sales teams by this number? If you could speed up the sales cycles by 27%? If you could increase the number of offers your company sends out by almost 50%, and last but not least, if you could increase the average deal size by 105%, wouldn't you be interested in using that solution? I guess so. Before we start, I have a little question for you. Who in the audience in the last, let's say 4 years, raise your hands, don't be shy, had to order a new car? Right, not gonna ask you whether it was a filthy, dirty diesel, we're not going that way. I'm going this way. Who went to the website of the car brand and started clicking and configuring? Who did? Yeah, I guess we all do, don't we? Right? So, a little story. 2 years ago, I got a phone call from the leasing company saying, Jan, we want you to return your current car, so pick out a new one. So I went on a couple of websites and clicked the car together that I thought was the best fit for me, right? My children are growing old. I'm losing some pieces here. My children are growing old. I want a little smaller car, but with a nice engine, all that kind of stuff. And the fun thing is that when I stopped configuring, I even could send my configuration to the car dealer of my choice. The only thing I still need to do is physically go over to put a signature on paper. Sounds familiar? Right. Okay. When I came at the car dealer, I was sitting in front of the sales guy, and he started teasing me on, but why did you choose this option? Because you're a sales guy, you're doing lots of kilometers, so maybe add this, remove that, etc. And actually, the guy didn't need to convince me, because previously I convinced myself that this was the car I needed, and with a big smile, I spent 4K euros more than I initially wanted it. Now, that sounds interesting to your company as well, I guess, right? Okay, suppose you were to look for a pool house. One of our customers, Valke & Zoon, but better known as Exterior Living, that's their brand with which they go to the market. They produce, it's a Belgian company, they're in the West Flanders, they produce all kinds of constructions to put in your garden. Pool houses, even fences, but also swimming pools, etc. Now those are actually highly configurable products, because everything they produce to, let's say, standard can be sold as such, but their dealerships very often get questions on modifications. Can I get it a little bit larger, a little bit longer, in another color, etc. So lots of configurations. Now, somewhere last year, they decided to change their ERP solution, and they chose for S/4HANA, and Kangaroo implemented this one. Now, if we look at the business drivers that they expressed to change their ERP solution, they were actually angled around 7 axes. More importantly for this session here is that 4 out of the 7 axes have direct impact on customer experience. And let me explain you. The first one, a 100% complete bill of material. That means that if the reseller is at the end customer's place and will start to construct eventually the garden construction, start to put it together, to assemble it, there's no missing pieces. Everything fits well together. There's no back and forth to the supplier to need to deliver something additional. The bill of material is complete. So in terms of quality, let's say, yeah, the sensation you have as a customer, it's a qualitative sensation. They deliver, they build, it's there. Second one, capacity planning. Also important, because a better capacity planning means that you have either shorter delivery times, or when the delivery time can be a little bit longer, it will be just in time as you requested as a customer. 360-degree CRM. That's customer experience. That's what it's all about. And that can mean a lot of things. Of course, that can mean that from a marketing perspective, you can send a very personalized and correct message to the right customer. It can mean also that from a perspective of service requests, you have a very clear view on what is open and what is closed, what is solved, right? In terms of performance measurement of your dealers, you have a very good view on which dealer is performing very well with which product in what area. It's a little bit to the area of analytics as well, but there are matches. Last but not least, digital customer experience. It was like that in their requirements. And what does that mean? That they want to give the opportunity to either their dealers but also to the end customer, just like you and I configure our car, they can configure their garden constructions, their pool houses, and whatever they want, right? Okay. Why not configure this pool house here and now? At a certain moment, Exterior Living decided to launch a new model, the Malawi pool house. And at that moment in time, we thought, okay, we are going to go the extra mile. We're not going to do just some CPQ thing. We're going to do something extra. And that's when we put the layer of virtual reality on top of it. So what if you could, with a virtual reality tool, configure in real time your pool house? So let's have a look at it. Right. So first of all, of course, the VR needs to know that it's me configuring something. So let's have a look in my garden. That's the house. You see the garden fences, also of Exterior Living. You see, do you hear the birds? Okay, I don't hear them, that's why I ask. You see that there's also a swimming pool, and there is the standard size. So let's move over. Standard size, I think it's a little bit too small. So I want a bigger version. And I'm going to change to a darker version of the wood, and I want the frame to be a little bit lighter, right? Now, most of the time in my garden, the wind comes from the right-hand side. So I want to close that wall, but I don't want to close it really closed, right? So I pick some glass walls, and now I'm feeling like a little bit too much enclosed, so we remove the backside. This is the configuration part. Now we're going to play around a little bit, okay? So we walk around. We go into the shelter. All right, we're prepared for the summer. There's already beer, you see. Right, that's about kangaroo. I can move out again. Of course, we would go like this for hours and hours. Please come to our booth. You can do it yourself. I'm gonna hug the tree now, which is somewhere in the corner. And now you see that actually this VR engine is sending through the exact configuration as we did here to the rest of the applications. Now that was fun. I guess you all agree that was fun? Okay, happily you agree, otherwise. What's the use? And more important, how did we do it? Okay, so this is the complete architecture of all bits and pieces that we used. Now, actually the designers and the product managers of Exterior Living, they use some CAD, computer-aided design tools, to build the basic models. Now, on a periodic basis, we can, and that's on the upper right side, we can import those models, because a VR engine knows what that is, a 3D engine. It knows what a 3D drawing is, and it can interpret it. We do that one periodically. I'm gonna start right here now. Me from a sales perspective. So if I would be a distributor of Exterior Living, I have my customer contacts, I have my opportunities. So from my CRM system, I can push through the SAP and I'm sorry for the abbreviation, it's not the right one. It should be SCPI, SAP Platform Cloud Integration, right? We can push through web services that information to the VR engine. So that's why the VR engine knew that it was Jan Roels configuring something and not somebody else, right? You can do your configuration there, you can play around, click, remove, change colors, whatever. At the end you hug the tree, or you build in some other kind of sign, it's okay for me. Through web services again, all these parameters are sent to Calidus Cloud. Now, Calidus Cloud is actually, in this case, the tool of the sales guy. So he can see my customer, which configuration has he made? Do I need to still change something? Do I want to maybe suggest another option, an extra option? Is this thing complete? Did the customer not forget anything? Of course, the tool itself will guide you through that process. So it will show you if the configuration is incomplete. You just cannot create an order, right? Or if some, let's say, contradictions are made in the configuration that you chose, you just cannot save the order, right? Once saved, and let's say that the customer wants to buy and approved, in C4C, cloud sales, you close the opportunity, it's won, and all information goes down to S4, again through the SAP Cloud Platform, where you can start to do production order, delivery, whatever, finance, send the invoice, do the dunning, maybe, if the customer doesn't pay on time. Right. So, remember the end of the movie. I had my pool house configured, and I was actually, if I compare, at the same point in time as where I was when I configured my car, just before going out to the car dealer, right? So now I'm going to exterior living as a customer, and we're going to see what happens there in the CPQ. So, all right, I pick the right quotation, and in that quotation you see I had 3 glass walls selected. I can see some additional technical drawings, some specifications, etc. I could have chosen wooden walls as well instead of glass. But finally I'm okay with it. Now from a sales guy perspective, I want to win this deal. So what I could do is give a little discount, right? So here we go. Let's give a first kind of discount. Customer is not happy, maybe a little bit higher. But this is more discount than I'm actually supposed to give, so I will need an approval for this. So also that kind of workflows can be seamlessly implemented in your CPQ solution, right? Okay, we're gonna generate it now, so you can add all the kind of technical drawings, details that you want to have, and finally, either you can download the final offer here, or you can send right away the offer to your customer by just clicking here with a standard email. But let's download it, because I want to write an email which is a little bit more, let's say, familiar. I know the customer, and this is actually my pool house with the glass walls next to it, okay? So that is easy. Creating an offer is pretty easy, it's fast, and it's certain that your sales guy, and I'm a sales guy myself, so I'm gonna say something very bad to salespeople here, that your sales guy doesn't do stupid things. He just can't send out an offer that actually should never have been sent out. Very important. Okay. How will this help customers like Exterior Living? They have about 1,500 dealers or resellers, how you want to name them, right? And there are 10 constructions of these kinds sold per day. Now every sales guy here in the room, any sales guys, raise your hands. Ah, a couple, okay. So any sales guy should know that an offer which is signed, usually you need to make multiple offers which will never be signed, right? There's a certain ratio to that. Which means that there's a lot of volume of work to do in creating offers if you certainly have a very complex and configurable product. Now, this will help companies like Exterior Living dramatically in speeding up the time they need to draw an offer and to be sure that the offer is correct, is qualitatively correct and can be sent out. Okay. You also have very crisp and unambiguous information sent to your customer, which is also important. It adds up to the experience, or let's say the feeling that the customer has about you, about a qualitative company that delivers a nice and clean offer, but also your offer is always correct. Maybe it's not completely covering what they are asking, and then you can do a little cycle again, but the offer by itself is always correct, which is very important as well. You got a higher speed of converting leads to offers, because if you put less time in creating and drafting an offer just manually, you can click your offer here and just push on a couple of buttons and out it goes, right? There's been a study amongst the majority of Calidus Cloud companies, and they report on average, not by putting in more salespeople, not by changing any process, just by using this tool, an increase of 5% in revenue. They report an increase in quota achievement of 26%. Now, as you all, most of the people are not salespeople, I'm going to explain you why this is important, right? A sales guy touching his quota, getting his commissions because he's doing a good job, well, he will be a happy sales guy. And from a psychological point of view, a happy sales guy sells easier, sells faster, sells better. If you can speed up the sales cycles by 27%, that will mean just by automating things, as I just showed you, that means that you get, as a sales guy, more time to really connect to your customer. And in that way, improve the customer experience. Of course, you can use solutions like Calidus Cloud CPQ in a B2C environment as well. So there you give anyone who raised his hand when I asked the question, who did click together his car, was there somebody unsatisfied with that? No. Moreover, you convinced yourself that this really was the product that you wanted to buy. So you as a sales guy, you will have more time to really connect to your customer and play an advisory role. And that will mean that you can advise additional options, additional stuff, and raise the ticket. Increase the number of offers sent. Now, there's only one sales guy who really raised his hand, but I'm going to ask you the question then. How difficult is it to win an offer that you did not send out? It's impossible, right? So the more offers you can send out, the more chances you have that you really will sell something to that customer, right? So any sales guy that you offer this tool within your company will be very happy with it, because he can produce more volume out of the market and the success will rise. I need to have a look at my monitor, but there's no... All right, we're there. Last but not least, increase the average deal size by 105%. Again, there's not too much salespeople here, but the effort, if the average ticket your company is selling is, let's say, 150k euros, right? If that's the average ticket, the amount of work that you need to put in pre-sales, sales, etc. for a ticket of 250k is the same. Right? So if you have more time as a sales guy and more time as a company by using an automated tool that produces you extra time to raise offers, well, you can focus on the right deals to try to win the bigger tickets. Okay? Let me round up. Solutions like Calidus Cloud help you not only drive the sales, but also help your customer to get a better view on it, to get a qualitative view on who you are as a company. Now, the VR thing, it's a gimmick. But on the other hand, Exterior Living expressed their feeling about it like, oh, we could use it on a trade fair, just like we have a trade fair here right now. We could use that VR thing. Now, if you want to experience how that works, and if you want to click together your own pool house, we are right on the other hand. You need to walk about 5 kilometers, but if you touch a wall there and you go to the left-hand side, there you will find a VR set, you will find Calidus Cloud, you will find even an S4HANA, and you can see live your configuration running through all these applications. Feel free to come. We still have a couple of hours left here. Thank you very much. And to the sales guy, happy selling. Thank you.